So who wants to tackle the question, what is awesome? It's not a cheeseburger, no. Yeah, I was going to say, we kind of cheated because I've gone over this before, but yeah. Well, we'll even get into the Webster's definition, I think, in today's lesson of awe. Hmm. Yeah, it goes beyond great. It's about, yeah, reverence. No, that's correct. But if you say that was an awesome cheeseburger, sunset's okay. It's part of God's creation. So you're giving him the reverence for his creation, but the hamburger's the chef's creation. Yeah, yeah. The cheeseburger? It kind of diminishes the value of the word awesome. So let's play role playing game. Ed thinks you're beautiful. Is it okay if he tells you that the woman sitting across the hall there is beautiful, and that woman's beautiful, and this one, and every woman he sees is beautiful? Would that, how would that work? You would start to take some offense, or beautiful wouldn't hold as high of a standard to you anymore because now you're not the only one that's beautiful. To Ed, every woman he sees apparently is beautiful. Exactly. Then he gets a divorce. But you see how that one word of reverence he used for you, if you share it out everywhere, it loses its value and it upsets you. Awesome is a word reserved for God. It comes from the root word awe, which means, we'll get to later. But so when we diminish what is awesome, we bring everything up to God's level. All of a sudden, cheeseburgers are the same level as God. Pizza is the same level as God. Roller coaster ride becomes the same, whatever it is. We start elevating things, and therefore you're bringing God down. That's supposed to be a word reserved for him. Awesome. Or in general, awe, which is the root of the word, is awe. Doesn't compartmentalize the same when it's personal, though, does it? That's the way God looks at it. He is the only one that deserves awe. But he knows he's awesome. But just in here. For us, the root word is awe. And according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it's an emotion variously combining dread, veneration, and wonder that is inspired by authority or by the sacred or the sublime. That's what awe means. Dread, venature, wonder, inspired by something above, something sublime. So when we cheapen it to everything, we cheapen it. Yeah. Yeah, you're better off asking one of the teachers that because English was not my strong suit. Yeah, yeah, they'd be better equipped for that because I would say it directs the thing to the awe. But that's just the redneck in me trying to make a definition. Maybe I. While she's looking that up, anybody know the memory verse? Sandy, go ahead. Okay. Mm-hmm. Very good. It is a hard one. So some as in S-U-M, not S-O-M-E. Yeah. So it's the amount of dread, venature, and wonder you have that is inspired by the sublime or the sacred. Yep. You guys didn't know you were coming for an English lesson today. Me? No, I was terrible. That makes sense. To be filled with, to the amount of, to the degree of awe. I do. If I'd have paid attention in English, I'd been better, but I didn't like English. Yes. You know, because they had public speaking and all that stuff that I didn't pay any attention to. Yeah. I didn't take a class. I would. I'm not going to go into that. No. It would borderline manipulation. Yeah. All right, so back to our study. As we pick up back in our Answers in Genesis booklets, we were studying Daniel, 70 years of captivity. We saw first Judah go into captivity and Israel go into captivity. Daniel and his three friends were captive in Babylon for what, 70 plus years? But they were the few that we're told about that actually remained faithful. And everybody remember how they started out remaining faithful. I know it's been a long time since Daniel chapter 1. What's the first thing they wouldn't do? The diet. They wouldn't eat from the king's table. So, because they didn't eat from a king's table, how did you see God's hand in their lives? What should have been the outcome when they told their, what was he called, the chief eunuch, that they weren't going to eat that food, they wanted vegetables? Yeah, most of the time, that answer would have been death. And instead, they got vegetables and water. And then after 10 days, they were healthier than everybody else. I don't know how on vegetables and water, but they were. So God blesses their faithfulness and protects them even from death. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I seen Jason's shirt yesterday, popped up on my feed or whatever. It shows Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in a fiery furnace with Jesus in there, and it says, "May the fourth be with you." His birthday's May 4th. So he was the first one I thought of. May the fourth be with you. But they get thrown in there, they don't die. They don't even come out smelling like smoke. Daniel gets thrown in the lion's den, doesn't even get a scratch. So God protects them throughout. And they set an example for faithfulness that we should all follow. I mean, we compromise because we don't want conflict, usually. We do things that we know are sin, but it's easier because everybody else around us do them and we don't look weird. Go ahead, Alice.
You know, there's a lot of times I went my own way, but there was times when I felt that he was leading me somewhere else and I went. I got away from like hardship, more hardship or more evil or danger. As I look back, I can see how he led me.
Yep.
Before I said, I don't know what he's doing, you know, in my life. I don't know why I'm having it so hard. I don't know why this is happening. But then now I'm looking back and I'm saying, I'm brother.
Yep. Hindsight's 2020. He'll lead you into perilous times and out of them. Yep. So our lesson today, we're going to be looking at another prophet. Served during the same time as Daniel. He was one of his contemporaries, Ezekiel. Ezekiel was offered an awesome privilege that few men have ever known. And that'll be our topic for our study today. So let's start out at Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 1 through 2:2. Come on. So Ezekiel chapter 1. In the 13th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th day of the month, as I was among the exiles by the Chebar Canal, the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. On the 5th day of the month, it was the 5th year of the exile of King Jehoiakim, the word of the Lord came to Ezekiel, the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the Chebar Canal, and the hand of the Lord was upon him there. As I looked, behold, now we're going to get into some most interesting visions of angels you'll find in the Bible. I think more interesting than Isaiah's or even John's when he describes them. As I looked, behold, a stormy wind came out of the north, and a great cloud with brightness around it, and fire flashing forth continually. And in the midst of the fire, as it were gleaming metal, and from the midst of it came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had a human likeness, but each had 4 faces, and each of them had 4 wings. Their legs were straight, and the soles of their feet were like the soles of a calf's foot. And they sparkled like burnished bronze. Under their wings, on their four sides, they had human hands. And the four had their faces and their wings thus. Their wings touched one another. Each one of them went straight forward without turning as they went. As for the likeness of their faces, each had a human face. The four had the face of a lion on the right side. The four had the face of an ox on the left side. The four had the face of an eagle. Such were their faces. And their wings were spread out above. Each creature had two wings. Each of which touched the wing of another, while two covered their bodies. And each went straight forward. Wherever the Spirit would go, they went, without turning as they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, like the appearance of torches moving to and fro amongst the living creatures. And the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures darted to and fro like the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now I looked at the living creatures. I saw a wheel on the earth beside the living creatures, one for each of the four of them. As for the appearance of the wheels and their construction, their appearance was like the gleaming of beryl. And the four had the same likeness, their appearance and construction being as it were a wheel within a wheel. When they went in any of their four directions without turning as they went. And their rims were tall and awesome, and the rims of all four were full of eyes all around. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went beside them. And when the living creatures rose from the earth, the wheels rose. Wherever the Spirit wanted to go, they went, and the wheels rose along with them. For the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. When those went, these went. And when those stood, these stood. And when those rose from the earth, the wheels rose along with them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. Over the heads of the living creatures there was the likeness of an expanse, shining like awe-inspiring crystal, spread out above their heads. And under the expanse their wings were stretched out straight, one toward another. And each creature had two wings covering its body. And when they went, I heard the sound of their wings, like the sound of many waters, like the sound of the Almighty, a sound of tumult, like the sound of an army. When they stood still, they let down their wings, and there came a voice from above the expanse over their heads. When they stood still, they let down their wings. And above the expanse over their heads there was the likeness of a throne, in appearance like sapphire. And seated above the likeness of the throne was a likeness of a human appearance. And upward from what had the appearance of his waist, I saw as it were gleaming metal, like the appearance of fire enclosed all around. And downward from what had appeared of his waist, I saw as it were the appearance of fire. And there was a brightness around him, like the appearance of the bow that was in the cloud on the day of rain. So was the appearance of the brightness all around. Such was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell on my face, and I heard the voice of the one speaking. And he said to me, Son of man, stand on your feet, and I will speak to you. And as he spoke to me, the Spirit entered into me and set me on my feet, and I heard him speaking to me. So, when is Ezekiel getting this vision? In captivity, right around probably 599 BC. It was the 4th month of the 5th year of Jehoiakim's captivity. I think his captivity begins in 599. Where did he receive his vision? by the canal, yep. The Chaibar Canal, which is in Babylon, or the Chaldeans, it also says, which would be modern day Syria. What is Ezekiel's position? He was a priest. You can be a priest and a prophet, because Ezekiel was. Now they want to know, how old is Ezekiel? The reference to the 13th year is likely his age, which makes sense because priests began their service at age 30. Or 30th, sorry, yeah. 30th is likely his age, they say. How did the vision come to Ezekiel? That would have been terrifying. But when it starts to come, what's it look like? A whirlwind, a giant storm, flashes of lightning, winds. And then what appears in the clouds? Huh? Not yet. Four living creatures. They're part of the angel. Okay, so it's hard to imagine. You have to picture an angel with four wings at least, four heads with a face on each side, around it orbiting two wheels, covered in eyeballs. Eyeballs. I've seen pictures, renderings that people do of it. They never quite do it justice, because they either get the wheels with the eyeballs correct and get the center wrong, or they get the center right and get the wheels wrong. But it's a wheel within a wheel spinning, covered in eyeballs, with an angel with four wings and four heads that never turns but goes in any directions at once. I think that's what terrifies me the most, because they'd be going this way, but they have a head this way, so they don't have to turn, they just go that way. They have a head that way, so they don't have to turn, they just go that way. So it'd be, and there's so they see everything everywhere and can move any direction, and yeah, they have hands underneath the wings. Terrifying looking angels. Not the little precious moments things that we all put on our, nothing like that. Again, the next question is, how would you draw them? Yeah, I don't know. Because then they got straight legs, which means no knees, and then feet like calves, so like a hooven foot. What do they need feet if they have wheels or wings? Why is the phrase the four repeated over and over in verse 10? Ezekiel wants to make sure you don't get the idea wrong and think that there's four different angels, one with the face of a human, one with the face of a lion, one. He wants to let you know they all have four faces. There's four of them that have this four, and there's four of them that have this, and four of them. It's four angels. They look identical. How is their movement described? I already answered that one. That one terrifies me. This giant eyeball covered wheeled angel with human hands and calf foots that doesn't ever turn. It's how God created them. I don't know why. I guess so they didn't have to turn. Like I have to turn to look over here, and turn to look over there. This one don't have to turn nowhere. Huh? He's flying and he has wheels. So he don't even have to use his feet. They're just kind of there. No. They sparkle. This is a picture into the throne room of God. Yeah, because you see a throne above them, right above the crystal sea. We'll get to it here in a little bit, but and then you see he who is seated on the throne. So when you hear all these stories about I went to heaven and Jesus and I walked, no. When you see stuff like this, you're not going and playing golf. You're doing what the rest of them do and falling over. How are the words like and likeness used in this passage and why? How are they used and why are they used, like and likeness? Yeah. Describing it the best he can. Yeah, there is no human words to describe what he saw. So he had to describe it the best he can. It's not the face of an eagle like we're picturing, but it's something like that. It's not the face of a human that we're thinking on this angel, but it's something like that. It's as close as he could describe the heavenly with earthly things. You get this a lot from prophets. I mean, John's full of it. You know, it looked like a scorpion with a tail that shot missiles, and he didn't know what he's looking at. Prophets didn't. I mean, they've never seen this stuff before. It does. I don't remember off the top of my head because there's 40 years. There's the 40 years in the desert. 4 is a significance. Yeah. Yeah, it's like taking somebody in medieval times that rode horses and giving them a vision of planes, trains, and automobiles going across the world today. They'd have no idea how to describe it. There was like this eagle that flew people around in its belly. It was a plane. There's a snake that moved across the line. You know, how else would they describe it? And there was this carriage that moved without a horse. It'd be a car. But that'd be as close as they'd get. Yeah, and it's not the only one. John and I think Isaiah have the same 4. Yeah, there is. Physical, where 7 is heavenly. What language is used to describe the throne scene in verses 26 through 28? Adjectives, I guess, would be better than language. But before each one of the descriptions, what's he say? It's very guarded when he tries to describe the throne. He doesn't want to tell you the throne is, because there is no way to describe it. So it's very guarded. Every detail of the throne he gives, he begins with like, or in the likeness of. Yeah, trying to compare it to something maybe you could picture. So, when Ezekiel sees all of this wonderful angels and crystal sea and throne and he who sits on it, how's he react? Hmm? Falls on his face. Yep. Very common theme when you see these things. Falling on your face as if you were dead. How is the only way Ezekiel is able to stand back up? The Spirit. The Spirit lifts him. Very common too. How Daniel stand back up. He was touched and was able to stand. You're not going to get back up on your own strength, because if I saw those four living things, I'd probably want to stay on the ground myself. I ain't getting back up. Yeah, the Spirit brought him back up. Son of Man is like, this isn't the same Son of Man as referred to in Daniel as Jesus, but it's a prophet or a leader, priest. Yep. Okay, so what else did Ezekiel experience while in the presence of God? He's got to see all these wonders. What else did he get? That few people. God spoke to him. God gave him instructions. Which is rare. Now, for all those people that say, God, just give me a word. Tell me what to do today. You really want to witness all this just to get that answer? Have them nightmares for the rest of your life? But this is what it looks like when God speaks to people. Meanwhile, we have the Bible that has it all in there. We just read it ourselves. So we'll look at the message that God gives to Ezekiel later, but let's stop and consider what Ezekiel experienced. He's not taken into heaven, per se. It says he is given a vision. So God reveals all of this to him in a mysterious way, like an awake dream. He doesn't get taken up, he gets shown. Obviously, the vision's astounding and very difficult for him to recount. It's a hard story to tell because there's nothing to compare it to. The entire first chapter is dedicated to him just trying to find a way to explain what he saw. No doubt. Either that or they'd give you a long prescription list to try to help you out. As far as we know, he's in captivity, so I'm assuming there's other people around, but it doesn't mention any of them. Yeah, there's nothing there that tells us what the other people would have thought or seen. So why do you think Ezekiel responds to the presence of God by falling on his face? He's in awe. Yeah. He is in awe at seeing the glory of God. God's holiness was manifest around him and his throne, and he got to catch a glimpse of it. That is a proper use of the word awe. Now, your first thing, I believe, in your book is 3 encounters in activity. So Ezekiel's not the only one that saw visions like this. We have him, Isaiah, and John. Now, You're supposed to read these on your own, but we read Ezekiel's, and we'll do the other two as well. So let's look at Isaiah first. Isaiah chapter 6, the first 5 verses is his encounter. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above him stood the seraphim. Each had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And the one called to the other and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the foundations of the threshold shook at the voice of him who called, and the house was filled with smoke. And I said, Woe is me, for I am lost. For I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then one of the seraphim, we're not supposed to read that one, but you got to finish it. Then one of the seraphim flew, having in his hand a burning coal that he had taken with tongs from the altar. And he touched my mouth and said, Behold, this has touched your lip. Your guilt is taken away, and your sin is atoned for. So that's Isaiah's. Next would be John the Revelator. Start in Revelation chapter 1, verse 12. He took a hot coal out of the altar and put it on his lips. There was an angel, it says. They can only say what God tells them to. So if the angel said that this is what is going to symbolize your sins being forgiven, that's what the angel says. Yes, all from the same source. He got the same visions. He got Daniel expanded. He got Isaiah expanded. He got Ezekiel expanded. He gives us a little more information on all those. All that's pointing towards what Jesus does on the cross when he takes our guilt away. Let's read John and we'll wrap up for today. 12 through 20 first. Then I turned to see the voice that was speaking to me. And on turning, I saw 7 golden lampstands. And in the midst of the lampstands, one like a son of man, clothed with a long robe and with a golden sash around his chest. The hairs of his head were white like white wool, like snow. His eyes were like a flame of fire, and his feet like burnished bronze refined in a furnace. And his voice was like the roar of many waters. And in his right hand he held 7 stars. From his mouth came a sharp 2-edged sword, and his face was like the sun shining in full strength. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as though dead. But he laid his right hand on me, saying, Fear not, for I am the first and the last, and the living one. I died, and behold, I am alive forevermore. And I have the keys of death and Hades. Write therefore the things that you have seen, those that are, and those that are to take place after this. As for the mysteries of the 7 stars that you saw in my right hand, and the 7 golden lampstands, the 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 lampstands are the 7 churches. Chapter 4, starting in verse 2. At once I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne stood in heaven, with one seated on the throne. And he who sat there had the appearance of jasper and carnelian. And above the throne was a rainbow that had the appearance of an emerald. Around the throne were 24 thrones, and seated on the thrones were 24 elders, clothed in white garments, with golden crowns on their head. From the throne came flashes of lightning and rumbles and peals of thunder. And before the throne was burning 7 torches of fire, which are the 7 spirits of God. And before the throne there was, as it were, a sea of glass like crystal. And around the throne, on each side of the throne, are 4 living creatures, full of eyes in front and behind. The first living creature was like a lion, the second living creature like an ox, the third living creature with the face of a man, and the fourth living creature like an eagle in flight. And the 4 living creatures, each of them with 6 wings, are full of eyes all around them. And day and night they never cease to say, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. And whenever the living creatures give glory and honor and thanks to him who is seated on the throne, who lives forever and ever. For the 24 elders fell down before him who is seated on the throne and worship him who lives forever and ever. They cast their crowns before the throne, saying, Worthy are you, our Lord and God, to receive glory and honor and power, for you created all things, and by your will they existed and were created. Then I saw at the right hand of him who was seated at the throne a scroll written within and on the back, sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a mighty angel proclaiming with a loud voice, Who is worthy to open the scroll and break its seals? And no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or to look into it. And I began to weep loudly because nobody was found worthy to open the scroll or to look into it. And one of the elders said to me, Weep no more. Behold, the Lion, the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has conquered, so that he can open the scroll and its 7 seals. And between the throne and the 4 living creatures and among the elders I saw a lamb standing, as though it was slain, with 7 horns and with 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all the earth. And he went and he took the scroll from the right hand of him who was seated on the throne. And when he had taken the scroll, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, each holding a harp and golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sang a new song. So you see, all the encounters are very similar when they encounter God. John, I guess, only sees one of each of their 4 faces. I'm just guessing one face was facing each of them, because he just calls out each one face. He didn't get to see the other 3, but Ezekiel tells us they have 3 more. Both covered in eyes and wheels and wings. Ezekiel describes 4 of them. John tells you about all 6. Yeah, more is revealed as you dig in. But I guess back to, since we're out of time, the purpose of the thing, that would be what is described as awesome, where everything else would pale in comparison. So I win, Judy. No, I'm not falling on my face for cheeseburger, and I like cheeseburgers. Ed, you want to close us in prayer?